Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. We're back up in the Radio Shack, and on this video we're going to look at Retekess's top-end shortwave radio, their flagship model. This is the TR113. If you're a regular viewer on Fred in the Shed, thank you very much, by the way, you would have seen me review an earlier version of this radio. This one has had a few improvements. I wouldn't say it's enough to call it a Mark II, maybe a Mark 1.5. A couple of the controls have been improved, which I did criticise on the earlier radio. And also, and this is quite important, this has the latest stable update built in on the firmware. There has been a few issues with radios bricking where people have tried to update to the very latest firmware, but this one has the latest stable version. You shouldn't have any reason to update this radio at the moment. So I think what we need to do, we'll have a quick look what comes in the box, what goodies we get, we'll clear the bench, and then we can have a closer look at the radio. Firstly, this is a very complicated receiver. I would go as far as calling it a communication receiver. There are two sets of instructions that are supplied. I think they're a little bit small, to be honest. There will be an online instruction book which will be in a PDF format. It's probably better to use that, but there's certainly enough information in these instruction booklets to get you going. There is a lot to get through here. I say it's a little bit small for my eyes. There's a second booklet as well, because this radio is app controlled on your phone, and I really would recommend, if you're considering getting this radio, that you do, if you do get the radio, you do download the app to your phone, because it just makes using the radio so much easier. We get a small box with the radio, so we'll have a quick look, find out what goodies we get inside. Very basic strap to the radio here. It is quite heavy. It's 1,090 grams, so just over a kilogram. Would be quite bulky to have over your shoulder, but yeah, quite nice, I suppose. You get that simple USB-C charging cable. As in the other radio, we get a little cleaning brush. Don't ask me why. And then we get a tiny screwdriver. Now this is a bit strange because they have changed the battery on this radio. Here's the battery compartment. There was on the older radio 2 removable batteries. I think it was 4,000 mAh. What they've done now, they've updated this to a more modern battery. This has got a 3.7 3,600 mAh lithium polymer battery, but it's no longer removable. Not quite sure why you get the screwdriver in that. They say it's a safer battery. I don't know. I don't think the other cells had any issues, but they've just upgraded the battery basically, so no longer removable. Also in the box is the very latest T-bar antenna that fits in top of the radio like this. Mostly used for long wave, but also can help reception on medium wave, because it saves you having to turn the whole radio to tune medium wave. You can just turn the antenna. It makes it a lot easier, and also because it's more sensitive, it will help eliminate local interference, local QRM. So yeah, it's a nice addition to the radio. One thing which is missing from the kit, and it was the same on the other radio, there's no hard or soft case if you intend to take the radio travelling. Bit of a shame, because it is a heavy radio, and if you look at the body or the chassis of the radio, there are some very sharp corners, and this plastic does look quite brittle, so I got a feeling if you did drop this, being just over a kilogram in weight, it might bruise and damage the radio. So it would have been nice if they could have included a case. Let me clear the bench again, and then we can slightly zoom in on the radio, and let's check to see what firmware version this is running. Take the little screen protectors off. So two different screens on the radio. We have the main LCD display, 3.5 inch, and then a smaller little, probably about a 2-inch, I think it's 50mm colour second screen. Now if we hold down the set button here, we should be able to go into the settings. Here we go. Now when it comes down to the firmware, originally the radio shipped with version 1.689. The version that was causing us a lot of problems was the very, very latest, and that was version 1.706. And this one is slightly later. This is version 1.698, so it's somewhere in between. But it is confirmed that this is a stable version. So if I was you, I would stick with that for now. Now when you first get your radio, there's one thing you need to be aware of, which will make you worry. When you press the controls, you'll see the little key symbol here, and it will flash up all, and nothing will work. You won't be able to switch the radio on. That's fine, that's just because the radio is in transport mode. If you turn the radio around, you'll see a very nice chunky switch, which all this does is you've got two options for locking and unlocking the radio. You can either lock the tuning dial, or you can lock all of the controls. Just make sure that that switch is in its full upright position. Don't panic like I did when I first got the radio. And then you'll find that when you hold down the power button here, there you go, your radio now switches on. Let's now have a look at a couple of the changes that they say they've improved. So going on to the back of the radio, there was the antenna tune switch between the medium wave and the two shortwave bands. Now on my original radio, this was incredibly loose, and it still is a little bit loose, and I still don't think it's a very tactile switch, but in fairness, yeah, that definitely has been improved. I still think there's a way to go on that, but that does feel improved. It does feel better. And then the other one was the loop switching switch at the top here. Let me just take out the bar. Hopefully we're in focus now. Let me zoom in again, make sure we stay in focus. So this switch here, again, I did criticise this, and on my other radio there was no real tactile feel between the on and the off, but that apparently has now been improved. So let me shut up and let's listen. Definitely. So that is now a decisive click. Hopefully you can hear that. I still think it's a cheap feeling switch, especially compared to that lock switch, and I think a rocker switch would have been an improvement, but you can now feel that that's working. I mean, there was no problem with the operation on the previous version, it just had no feel to it. So yep, they have improved that. Now one issue that unfortunately has not yet been addressed, I believe they are working on it, they know about it anyway, and that is the outer wheel here, which is the manual tune, which is quite nice to use. You can just get a little pen, stick it in there, although this one actually is a little bit looser, a little bit wobbly compared to the early one, but it's still quite nice to use there. But unfortunately, if I turn the volume up, you can hear when you do use this, it mutes the volume, which kind of makes it pointless, to be honest. It makes manual tuning, there's no point. Hopefully they will fix that soon with a stable firmware update. I do still like, though, the inner tune wheel here. Again, that mutes. It's not so bad on sideband. When you go onto sideband, the inner tune and the fine tune doesn't mute for 1 kHz. But yeah, that's something that I really hope they will address. One thing that remains, and I think it's a great thing, is the speaker arrangement. Now they say this is 20 watts total output, and I don't think they're actually joking. So what you have a deep coned speaker in the front, but what makes it special is when we go round to the back, you have this thing called super bass. Now normally you could take that with a pinch of salt, but no, this really does work. What you have in here, and you can't really see it, but you have a base enclosure which I imagine is sealed from the front firing speaker, and then you have a radiator cone, so it's just a passive cone at the back. And when the radio is receiving a heavy bass song, for example, you really do get a penetration of the bass out the back of the radio. When you put your hand there, you can feel it. And unfortunately, I never will be able to show it on camera because the microphone on the camera probably isn't good enough, and especially when the video gets compressed, when it goes up to YouTube, it always sounds worse than it does in real life. But that is a really good speaker system. And I think you could use this probably with the MP3, or which is 256 gig by the way, or Bluetooth. You could really sort of fill a room with this and have it as a little boombox. Very similar to what Bose were doing in about the 90s, getting incredible sound quality out of small enclosures. So yeah, I mean, 10 out of 10 for the speaker system. It certainly is, and I'm not, I'm being totally honest with you, it's the best sounding shortwave radio I've ever heard. And if you get a very strong shortwave radio station and you use the built-in EQ settings, and there again, they're very nice, but I'd actually would have preferred a simple bass and treble setting myself. But if you use the built-in EQ, it does sound almost as good as FM. Incredible sound quality. Definitely the best shortwave radio I've ever owned, sound quality wise. Now, as I've reviewed this radio before, I don't want to make a duplicate video, but we'll just go through some of the tuning specs for this radio if you're unfamiliar. So as far as the FM goes, there are 3 different bands on FM, each one tuning up to 108 megahertz, but there's a standard one that's our band, which is 87.5 to 108, then it drops to 76, and then there is 64. No good in the UK, but I'm sure overseas that is quite useful. Then we've got medium wave. There's 2 different medium wave bands, depending whether you've got the 10 or the 9 kilohertz step, and that's 520 or 522 to 1710. Shortwave, 2.3 megahertz all the way up to 30 megahertz, standard AM broadcast, and then upper and lower sideband. Next comes long wave, 153 to 572. VHF, 20 to 250 megahertz in narrow FM. Very important for us in the UK because that will cover our 27 megahertz 11 meter CB range. So this will pick up FM CB. Then comes UHF, and that's 250 megahertz all the way up to 1000 megahertz, everything in between. Has a dedicated CB band, but that's purely AM, and that's from, I think that's 26 to 28 megahertz. And then finally has a North American weather band with the alert system, which I can't get in the UK, and that's 162.4 to 162.55. As far as bandwidth and step rate is concerned, they're adjustable, and that depends really on what frequency band you're listening to. We also have an attenuation control on the antenna. Quite basic. You've got the DX, and then you've just got a local setting, but that helps to knock out a lot of the interference. Now, when it comes down to antenna, this is where the radio really shines. You've got a built-in antenna system there for long wave and also medium wave, and of course you can plug in and use the T-bar. If you use the internal antenna, you also have an antenna tuner on the side there. When it comes down to connecting exterior antennas, the radio does support LNA amplified antennas. You just make sure that you've selected that via the controls on the front there. The antenna itself plugs in the back. You have a standard 3.5 millimeter jack. You just need to remember though to have the antenna tuner switch set in the right position. There's 3 positions. Top position is just purely for the medium wave band. SW1 covers 5 megahertz to 15 megahertz. SW2 13 megahertz all the way up to 30 megs. There are 2 further antenna inputs on top of the radio. The green one here is for an external loop. Again, that's switched on and off with this much improved switch. And then the second one is a male SMA. This is for the UHF side of things, and from this one you can attach very easily a little 2 meter 70 centimeter rubber ducky antenna, and then you can tune in to the ham bands, and also in theory it should pick up the PMR stuff as well on 446. So when it comes down to FM, you've just got standard FM. There's no DAB radio, there's no RDS, which is a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. It does sound nice though.
Lib Dems, Reform, Greens. I'm sure there's more.
Goes very loud.
Get in touch as well, please do.
EQ settings.
This is Radio 2.
On BBC Sounds.
And on your smart speaker.
Play BBC Radio 2.
BBC News and 1 o'clock. Good afternoon, this is Andrew Peach.
Very nice and mellow.
Keir Starmer has taken over as Prime Minister after Labour secured a historic win in the general election. Rishi Sunak has said he'll resign as Conservative leader once a process is in place to find a successor. The Lib Dems reform. So
I think moving forward with this review, I mean, there's so many parameters on the controls, and I went into quite a lot of detail in the last video, and as I say, I'm very conscious I don't want to make the same video twice. So I think moving forward what I'm going to concentrate now is on air performance, and we'll have a longer look on how the radio performs. On the previous version I couldn't get you any sideband 11 meter skip, there wasn't anything coming in, but we've moved on a little bit now and I should be able to get that. And the same thing with the ham bands, we're trying to get a little bit more on the ham band. So let's connect an outside antenna and then use this radio what it's really supposed to be used for, and that is a shortwave communication receiver.
Sento qua provare adesso, mi sembra che funziona comunque con l'antenna esterna in VHF, mi sembra, lo provo un attimo ieri sera veloce lì, ho sentito che si sentiva il ripetitore. Ma no, ma si sente bene in ripetizione, funziona, non... Ascolta,
Party, 1 Alpha Tango 010 A Party, thank you Bayram, ciao. 1 Alpha Tango 010 A Party, Special Event Station, QRZ.
Europa, Indonesia e un paio di amici dalla Sicilia pure. Verso Italia, centro-nord, niente.
Thank you, 8 Party, 180 Alpha Victor, 1 Alpha Tango, Alpha Victor, 8 Party. Thank you, 8 Party, 180 Alpha Victor, 1 Alpha Tango, Alpha Victor, 8 Party.
WX, very hot, the sunshine in my region, near Odessa, plus 36 degrees centigrade.
And that God is going to be God in the beginning as he was, so shall he be in the ending. And beside him, there is not going to be a God. You don't want to put God in this business. That's your trouble. You want to try to believe that man can save himself and even save his own soul. And what you're witnessing is what God said. You see.
I was born on the 17th of Delve into a world of words with Books and Beyond, a podcast made especially for audiobook lovers.
I came into the world as the youngest of 5 children.
De la traversée des Carpates. Il s'étendait sur quelques 500 hectares et accueillait environ 5000 soldats romains. Les civils se sont établis autour de cette forteresse qui ne cessait de grandir.
What? Make fun of me? I'm not making fun of you. I just can't believe you're giving up your Friday night to sit in a therapist's office with Etienne. That's if he turns up. Josh. Sorry, it's not you, it's him. I hope he appreciates the second chance. Well, I think he does. You're absolutely sure you don't want to stack it off?
We've got football weaved in between and everything else. You will not miss out on anything as long as you keep it with us here at 5 Live Sport, middle Sunday at Wimbledon. So time is 7 minutes past 12. They've actually just taken the covers off the outdoor courts, just as I was thinking it was going to rain again. The roof is over on centre. We're in our commentary.
Because I found their coverage very odd, and like, but it was okay. Like, it was okay, and it was terrible. It was okay the first half, but the second half I thought was really bad. We're going deeper and deeper and deeper, and I was like, well, Switzerland are going to score, and maybe we'll change something
The
before.
Home Office, which of course is a bit of a mess internally. We've seen so many problems with it when it comes to handling and processing applications, people's data, people's paperwork. The new Home Secretary, Yvette Cooper, has a job on her hands to sort that
Something
out.
special about this Sunday too. It's not just about sensational Sunday, but a special Sunday too, because summer fair is going on at Henrietta Barnett School, and I'll be taking Anika live on air, where she's going to tell us what is happening. And I know there's live music.
Romeo India Kilowatt 73 from Poland. You are 5 and 9 in the center east of Italy. My name is Michele, or Mike in English language. Over.
Yes. Okay, I see you very well. Report for you 5 and 9. 5 and 9 from south of Poland. Your Kraków of Poland. My name is Piotr, like Papa India, Oscar, Tango, Romeo. What is the report for me?
Roger, Piotr. Okay. The report is 5 and 7, 5 and 6, 5 and 7, 5 and 6. Roger. You are on my log. Repeat again your personal name. Thank you. Okay, Peter. Thank you very much, Peter. 47 Tango Mike 103, Peter. Thank you for your participation in Alpha Tango Party 2024. I am Robert, 1 Alpha Tango 010. 73, Peter. Bye-bye.
Thank you, 73. 1 Alpha Tango 070. Jolly Station for Otto Party. QRZ.
Okay, my friend. Thank you. Good afternoon. Report for you is 5-9 in Italy in this moment. Tango Alpha 3, Kilo Tango, go ahead. Yes, Kamal, 100%, my friend Kamal. My name is Morris, Mike, Oscar, Romeo, India, Sierra. Morris. My city is Pescara, located Central Italy, Adiat Coast. Kamal, go ahead.
It's a good idea to turn Radio London into a new station called Radio East Anglia. It was, of course, an April 1st spoof, but Radio London listeners were not amused, and neither was the management. They sacked 3 DJs who got involved in it.
나네 퉁가지 쿠라tum네 퉁가지 셰타마한 냠두 쿠라냠주 나네 저 둘이 미마 니도 숨절하담 시 캔좀 나외도 제외 퉁가 숨지사케슈 나홍.
It's a great idea. Why don't I just take the students out for a field trip? Like, let me take them to the museum. But then you have to think about transportation. You have to think about how to get to the museum, how to make sure that they all arrive on time and they're not going to play with, like, on the bus to put themselves in danger. Or in the museum, nobody gets forgotten or left behind. You know, there's so much knowledge in math. I remember how when he was teaching, I remember the look on his face. I remember the tone of his voice. And that's what stuck with me. And it's how he said those things. And when he said those things to me, that made a huge difference on how I looked at math and how I approached math and how I decided to improve my math skills. And eventually I got a really good score.
Ancak kararı yönlendiren hekimi dahil etmeden doktorları değiştirmenin doğru olmadığını ve tehlikeli olduğunu da unutmayın.
Earlier on, I have a view to kill Chris Dennis for suggesting I would be resorting to that kind of thing. I mean, just because you only live twice doesn't mean you have to exercise your license to thrill. But here we are with Yannick Sinner in complete command in this fourth round match against Ben Shelton, taking the first set 6-2. He is already a break to the good in this second set, leading by 2 games to love. It's very difficult for Ben Shelton to try to live with Sinner once they get into rallies. Sinner with an unbelievable shot a little bit earlier when he was around 10 feet outside the court, and he played this squash shot.
So obviously that was the performance of the radio on shortwave and ham radio. I just mixed it up a little bit over a couple of days, and that was just with my Antron 99 antenna. It's been so wet outside recently, I haven't had a chance to set up a long wire or anything. But yeah, it worked pretty good really, I thought. Right, we're going to try the phone app. and I'm hoping. Fat Les Vindaloo, yeah, football crazy. I'm hoping it's going to be the same app that works with the Raddy radio, because it's pretty much the same. So what we're going to do, we're going to put it into Bluetooth mode. It should become now detectable. And there we go. Yeah, look, see, straight away. Hopefully, oh, sorry, off camera. Straight away there, it's found it. So it's the same app that works for all of the Raddy radios. And that's quite useful, really. So we're just going to take it out of MP3 mode now, back to radio. Now, as with the other radios, once you've got this app on your phone, it is more than just a gimmick. You've got so much more control over the radio. And as I've said before, it shows you all of the details that you can see on the display of the radio, the bandwidth, the signal strength and everything else. And it's very easy just to type in a radio station and it responds instantly. It's actually really, really good. And also, another thing is you can use the record function on your phone as well. I'm not sure actually if there is. Yeah, you can. There's a record buttons and you can use it on the radio, but it's easier really to record it on the phone now. Then it records to the SD card, and yeah, and you're good to go. So yeah, I do like this app. I just think it's just so much easier operating the radio this way, especially like in shortwave. If there's a particular frequency you want to go to. So let's enter that in. Yeah, enter. Straight away you're in. So I'm pleased that works, and I'm pleased I didn't have to download another app. Obviously you've got the full instructions there, and you've got a QR code. And someone left a comment on another video I did, and they said, what if I haven't got a smartphone? And I hadn't thought of that. It was on something that you needed a smartphone to operate the device. So yeah, not everyone's got a smartphone. I know we just assume everyone has, but obviously you can use the radio without having to use your phone. And there we go. That was the Retekess TR113, which is the latest version of this very popular radio. And I hope this video was not too repetitive on the last one I did, but I wanted to bring you the latest version because this does have, as I say, the latest version of the most stable firmware. And you haven't got to worry about updating it or anything, and there's been a few issues with that if you follow my channel. I suppose I better mention the colour better now before I go. It's like an olive green, slightly darker, maybe an army green. Is it coming out on camera? Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's okay. It's kind of grown on me since I've had this in the shack for a couple of weeks now. I still would prefer a black radio though. I just think it might look a little bit more grown up in black. But yeah, it's okay. They are continually developing this radio. I've had emails from the developers. They're looking into the firmware issue and other things. And one of the issues that it's not a fault. Someone commented last week and said that it was a fault. It's not a fault, but one of the issues that annoys me, I say, is that mute on the manual tuning, which is such a shame because they've got this tuning ring quite nice for, relative. It's not a professional radio, is it? So they've got it quite nice, but that mute, as a shortwave radio listener myself, especially with headphones, I just find it a little bit irritating. And hopefully they'll address that. I think there will be like a Mark II version of the radio. It can be done. ATS did it when they're 25. And yeah, I'm hoping they will get round to that. I'm sure they will. They are looking at. They do watch my reviews and they do read your comments as well, by the way. So yeah, they are taking some feedback, and they will work towards it. So I think that's it for the video. As always, I will leave a link to this radio in the description if you want to go away and have a look yourself. If you are thinking of purchasing one, I will also shake the tree. See if I can get us a few quid off. You know what I'm like. And if I do that, there will be a discount code, I imagine, in the description, or there might be a separate link. If I can, get a little bit off, I'm sure I can. I think that's really it. So it's quite a long video. So thank you very much for sticking by with the video. I do appreciate your views. I don't never take you for granted. I'm a small channel. I do appreciate you dropping in to watch my videos. Thumbs up from me. As always, just before you go, if you could hit me a thumbs up down below, I would appreciate that. At least I know you've watched the video and I'm doing the right thing, and I can get on and do some more stuff, can't I? But now, as always, please, please, please look after each other. I know I say it, but I do mean it. Stay safe, and I will catch you all on the next video. Thanks for dropping by. Cheers.